it, should I just put it in like in the first or second bush, just like as a heads up, if I know the person will probably like try to counter it?
Yeah, so it's just like how I said just now.
Yeah.
If you know that they're coming, and usually you know either by scouting with your W or if you've played with them like 2 games in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
and the second game they try to adapt to like countering your ward, then you can put it close
Mm-hmm.
to your tower, like
Oh yeah.
in the bush closest to your tower. Um, and in the middle one is, let's say they don't necessarily know, or you need it to put it in the middle to fight for the brush. But
Mm-hmm.
so there is one mistake in this game, or like one glaring mistake that I'm looking at,
Yeah.
is how you're trading. Um, like it's fine,
Mm-hmm.
but you're taking a lot of minion aggro. I don't know if that's persistent in the rest of the games in the early game, in like
I
learning
think
phase.
I think that's why one issue with running fleet. I'm too careless if I run fleet because I think I'm like sustaining the trades back. I do notice that a lot because I when I switch back to like electrocute, um, I do notice I'm taking a lot of damage because I started like getting used to like the healing from the early game, which is actually like kind of fucked me up in a few games later on. I'm not sure if it's like in this one too. I'm not like I think it's just me like using the rune like in a not intended way. I think because for me like the only reason I run like fleet early game like before I actually knew about the use was I can use it for aggressive trading and heal back the trades after. That was like the main like aspect that I saw on it like at the first glance when I saw that you started using it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I do notice it like now that's actually more like for like the move speed actually like the main part I think what's like the useful part. But I did notice that it fucks up my early game by using fleet.
Well, I
So
think
I'm too careless.
my trading pattern that I tend to to use, I guess, is kind of either the same or incredibly similar between the two rune choices that I take. So, um,
I
and
think I used second win this game. I'm not sure though. So that's why like another reason why I went for like killer's traits, but I think it's just wrong like in general to do it because I think it's just a bad habit now
is there,
as well.
does this take, okay. No,
I think
I
it's
was
just
wondering if it shows.
because I always run resolve secondary usually, but in
Oh
this game at
yeah,
least.
you ran
So
resolve this game.
so I ran second wind I think secondary, which is why I think I'm just like it's just a bad habit of me running like resolve and fleet. So I just take bad traits. I did like notice it as well when I switched back to Thunderlords or like electrocute that I would actually just get like super chunked in lane. I couldn't really do much anymore. But I think it's just a bad habit in this game as well. Because I think this is one of those games I played after the moding, so I started like tilting a bit too.
I think if you um work on like manipulating minion aggro more when you're trading in lane, you won't have this issue.
Yeah,
So we'll I'm gonna take a look at that throughout the rest of your games to make sure it's like it's not just this game that's happening and it's more of a pattern. And then we'll talk about how like I trade and how you can like use this information to um, take a lot less damage in the early game.
yeah.
I mean, overall, this game looks pretty good. You did pretty well in the main phase.
I think my main problem usually comes when like mid games or like late game comes because I really find it hard to get like good ults off in general, like or get any good flanks in some games, especially because it's like I don't know why it stutters actually. It's really weird. I have the same issue earlier in the same video. I noticed it a lot because I think like in Master Elo there's a lot of fiddle and Rengar one tricks, and my usual problem is I don't want to like face check them, so I don't usually go for flanks that often when I play against them. It might just be like a bad habit because I used to be a Rengar main too, so I'm just like perma paranoid of where Rengar could be. But I do notice it like I'm like super like scared of going for flanks, yeah, like mid to late game, and I feel like really useless in like some games.
It totally depends on like what build you're running that game,
Yeah,
the game that you're playing into those characters, and like how ahead you are. So you're kind of at a point in this game where you can actually like just solo carry this game if you play aggressive
mm-hmm.
enough with your lead.
Yeah,
Um, and it should be the same for when you're playing against like Rengar Fiddlesticks as well. Um, if you're not, and you're playing a more defensive build, say like you have Everfrost and Tabis against Rengar, you can
Mhm.
just like chill and like if you have exhaust too, this guy just can't play if you're just chilling around your teammates.
Yeah. I did notice too that if I go defensive boots or mobies, I actually start like being able to like carry less. Because I don't know if it's like a mindset thing or not.
Well,
But
it
I want to.
Mobies and Rocket Belt and Relentless Hunters are
Yeah.
all like tools that you use so that you can get in there and ult. It's
Yeah.
and like get in range for your E, your ult, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Important stuff. Oh,
That was bad by me. Yeah, I was. Yeah. I think I just got targeted. Yeah, I went in too early.
I think that was Bard ulti. Yeah, Bard ulti
Yeah.
ulted all your minions.
And I got too aggressive here, and I've died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bad. I think it was kind of bit in. I thought it was gonna be there all the time. And because I do notice, and like in most games when I get lead, sometimes when mid to late game comes, I feel a bit like really useless. I don't know. I like it's either I'm not
Well,
trying not to.
I'm if you're if playing like you do in this game is
Mm,
how you normally play like throughout all your games,
yeah,
then you probably will find that you feel a little bit useless on the champ that you're playing because
yeah,
you have to look for um more ways to push your advantage. So you're like
mm-hmm,
4 kills, 0 deaths, and 1 assist by like what time? Like I don't know, 10 minutes or something. You're
yeah,
301 by 10 minutes, and then you have the ability to snowball incredibly hard. But by 20 minutes, it's only progressed from 301 to 412. So
yeah,
like 10 additional minutes into the game, nothing really happens.
yeah. I feel like that's my one issue. I have like a lot that I don't like push leads or roam because
Hmm.
I feel like I'm stuck. Like I feel like I'm kind of stuck in lane. Like I
So
don't
how
like.
do you feel about your jungle and like not just jungle, but like mid, whoever, like tracking the enemy
Mhm.
champions on the map?
Usually I'm pretty good at it. Feel like I have the problem of because I'm still learning. Like it's like my first like season playing support. That I
Hmm.
still focus too much on laning. I didn't have the problem as much when I still played jungle because I can just focus on the map in general. But I do notice when I'm starting to lane again, like I'm just like too set on like playing the lane in general. I feel like it's my one issue too because I'm not used to like because I'm used to like PVEing right, just farming,
Yeah.
which is like my one issue. I'm still laning when I'm like keep like I lose track of the enemy jungler for example. But if I, it's like I like the thing is I think like my mindset is not like on the map in general because I'm like focusing too much on like my character in general. I don't know how to explain it properly because I it's just like me laning is a bit like too like I'm not used to it because I'm like
Do you
so
think that as you play more that you'll get more accustomed to that and then you can focus more on maybe
yeah
um
I think I'm like
like the
focusing
map?
a lot on still on basics because I used to play every role but I switched to like main jungle for like 6 or 7 years like one tricking Rengar
Yeah,
and
sounds like me.
this is like my first season just playing support like in general and this is like my first time actually like playing past like D4 when I usually stop playing like ranked
Yeah, that's like exactly how I used to play too.
because I feel like it's like the I feel like I'm also like respecting my opponents too much because I'm not used to playing like in this MMR so I also have like normal games.
For sure.
Also
That that's like that is definitely something that could happen. I think this game went fine. Like
it went fine, but they outscaled us. I think just in
yeah,
general.
you could do a lot better in the 10 to 20 minute mark like I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that that is going to be mainly dependent on whether or not you know where the enemy like is likely to be. So like if I were to go to a certain point in this game, maybe like right here,
Mm-hmm.
uh you see that there most of the enemy champions are off the map. but they just took
Yeah.
dragon, right? So that means all of them are like around this area,
Mm-hmm.
or they're resetting. So within the next like 20 seconds or so, if you don't see them back on the map, now you see Cassidy and Hecarim back on the map. Okay,
Yeah.
that is two variables that are known. Now, where do you think their bot lane is? They could be reset, or they could be like doing some, I don't know, something weird.
Yeah.
If they don't show up in the next like 10 seconds to lane, they're probably back in base. Okay.
Back in base. Mm-hmm.
So this is all stuff that like you should be able to look at in game and like
Yeah.
figure out. And being able to do this allows you to get deeper vision and clear vision and look for plays. So right here you see Bard was hovering mid just like you were going to. Crusher mid. If you have your sweeper up, which is in like 10 seconds, then you could honestly just clear their entire bot side jungle
Mm-hmm.
and just run away and get some vision in their bot side jungle. You watched the warning video, I'm not sure. You didn't really have too many opportunities to deep ward in this game, doesn't look
Yeah.
like. But if you watch the warning video, you'd know like where I prefer to put the wards down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, as long as they're good wards, it doesn't have to be exactly where I put them. So
Yeah, I feel like there's one of my issues like not going into the enemy jungle a lot. I think that was like also one of my issues as a jungler, like being a bit too scared of invading. Except if I know that, like for example, the jungler is like bot lane. That's the only time I would actually invade.
yeah, I mean for example, where I just showed you where they just
Mm-hmm.
took dragon, where is it? Right here? Yeah, right here. And then you see them as you're approaching mid. You see Hecarim path top lane, and then you see Bard. You don't see enemy AD carry. Like these guys are busy. If you had your sweeper up, let me see where you use your sweeper. I think you used it before your recall here. Okay, I mean this is fine. You take out a ward.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do have your sweeper up in that moment, then it helps you by like being able to scout just in case they're hiding in the bush there to kill you, or to clear wards while you're trying to get vision deeper in their jungle, which is like a pretty good opportunity right here.
Yeah, I think I'm just waiting right here. I'm just waiting for my sweeper, so I'm not like walking up at all. And I think, like, can you scroll down a bit when I hit the plant, when they path to
Oh
A,
yeah, yeah. So like
like after the dragon, I think it was.
yeah, it must be somewhere here. uh,
Check
I, where did they take dragon? Right here.
here. Yeah, I think my sweeper's coming up in a second. Because that's what's one of the main things why I didn't want to walk up at first, because my sweeper was still on cooldown. So I was like waiting for it. My Kaiser's cancer again. That is a bit awkward. As Fiddler goes in there.
Oh no.
The email. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. I think it's just like I missed the E2, which is kind of shit.
Something that I tend to do. Does this guy flash too?
I think he Gale for yeah,
He
he flashed.
flashes and gale forces, I think. I mean, in this case, it probably doesn't matter because he uses both flash and gale force and cleanse. But if um if say you approached from like this side, the tribush, and you like pincered him towards the tower, you were disguised, and you're like you start with ulti. He might feel like pressured to walk down
Mm-hmm.
like towards your Kaisa. The only way he gets out, let's say, here, let me like open up this thing. Okay. So I'm trying to say that the 80 carry gets like pincered here.
Yeah.
You're like you're like moving like this, okay? And you're
Yeah.
about to ulti. So you push him towards the tower, and he gets pushed towards your AD carry. The only way he gets away from the situation, if you start off with ulti, is if you like flash. If you're like uh
Flash Gale Force, right? Or Clash,
flash Gale
yeah.
Force, but you have to be like on top of him for him to flash
Yeah.
Gale Force away. So what you can do is you can position yourself like this, right on the edge of the ulti is where he should be about to get hit, and he'd have to do some crazy shit. Like he'd have to flash forward and then like E backwards and then Gale Force this way or something
Yeah, yeah.
to really get away from your Kaisa. But if he ever at any point in this like case when you're pinstring him right here gets hit by your
Yeah.
ulti, then he should be dead. Uh, and what happens here? It like
I think I also just wasted my W, and which could have probably like tanked the tower too.
you do like 400 damage, which is quite a lot
Yeah, I know. I think it also a problem I did there was wasting the
to
W. I could
Caitlyn.
also just tank the tower here if I didn't waste it.
Yeah, you could have taken the tower here.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have made the difference so that Shen didn't get his ulti off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we've covered the main points of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the next one.
I actually don't know why it stutters that much. I have the same issue on like my end. I don't know if it's like the video itself or not.
I'm not
I did
sure.
upload them yesterday just in case. Or like a few days ago actually. Because they were working when I checked it. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure why they don't work though.
I had this same issue with someone else I was helping who's also in Europe. I don't know if it's that either, but it might just be. It's just weird. All right, let's take a look. Usually, I want to focus on the laning phase as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens.
I think also one of my problems is like not knowing the matchups. Like I played against Lucian Nami the other day, and I did not expect to get almost one shot level 2 by a first strike Lucian.
Oh yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah, I was like,
I take I usually take bone plating into that.
yeah, I did. I took bone plating, overgrowth, and they still almost one shot me.
Yeah.
Through the bone plating, I was like, okay, that's a bit interesting. I don't mind losing HP because I can win. I think I should have stayed like further up with her. I don't know, on the level 2. Yeah, I think I just back off here.
I mean that the engage you did with your W is really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what you want to see. So mainly what I'm looking at right here when I keep going back to these parts is you keep autoing from the brush. What you kind of want to do is you want to leave the brush, auto, and then go back in. Because when you auto from the brush, not only do you take the minion aggro, but you like disable the brush for yourself because the enemy team can now see you in the brush, and it's one of the ways that you should be able to manipulate minion aggro with if you just leave the brush,
Yeah, okay.
auto, and go back in. It'll reduce quite a bit of damage you're taking from these trades actually. Like right there, 3 minion autos is 27 damage. It's
Yeah.
it's it's like a third of a bomb.
Yeah, I think it's also a good point. I actually didn't think about that before. Like autoing in bush.
So sometimes like that one where you auto from the bush, it is necessary because he's like max range and you're
Yeah.
probably not gonna get the chance to like leave and go back in. But uh, you have to realize that it does disable the bush. You do want to drop the minion aggro like you're trying here. Um, if you can, you want to make it a habit of leaving and then autoing and then entering the bush again, so that uh, in this case, if you were able to auto from outside the brush and go back in, you wouldn't want to drop this minion aggro. You could just stay like towards the front end of this brush, and then you'd be ready for when Tristana jumps in. Yeah. Either way, it works out here, but it could have changed it. Probably he still would have flashed, and honestly, the results would have been the same. But there probably are going to be uh, situations in the future where it's beneficial for you to like work on this. And
I don't get why you don't just go Ghost and Knight against this matchup. Or Ghost Knight Flash. Or don't fight level 1 if you took this up. Not Flash earlier. I got creep block, cool.
so as long as you like know what you're buying the items for, I really like nitpick too much about which items you buy as long as you uh like have a good reason for it. Usually I buy boots first because it helps dodge and land abilities, which are, in my opinion, they're more important to me than a little bit more damage on my spells.
Usually what I prioritize in lane is getting the alternator like ASAP.
Mm-hmm. The alternator is really good for like securing the kills for sure.
Especially like if I snowball early, I would go for like alternator rush if I have enough gold. If I don't, I usually just get like the book.
Do you usually max E or is it just this game?
It's just this. I think in this lane I usually just max E because we have Tristana, and I thought my all in would usually be good enough because like they're both squishy.
I see. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I usually like I don't really go dark seal that often because I do find myself like not always, but I die. Like sometimes I feel like if I die, it's just kind of wasted.
The thing about Darkseal is you don't need any stacks for it to be good.
I actually didn't know that. I thought it was usually like you would have to like get a few stacks on it to be decent.
Yeah, so if I look up,
Because I do find myself like super rarely buying the dark seal.
so it is worth 432 gold in stats,
Base.
and it costs 350 gold.
Yeah.
So this number, which being 124% gold efficient, is pretty good. Because if you compare it to any other item, uh, usually they'll be around 100% ish gold efficient.
Because also,
So
I think my mindset was in when I usually buy early. That's a battle. When I buy early game like a parts for alternator, I usually find it like more worth it than getting the dark seal. Like that's like
yeah, I mean, if you are able to snowball with the alternator, oftentimes it's better. So, um, Darkseal, I think, is really good, but with the changes they did to the start of, I think it was season 12, to the items or whatever, where they made Rocket Belt cost 3,200. Um, Darkseal in this build is generally going to be worse because your build already costs so much.
Yeah.
I almost always go Darkseal when I go Everfrost, but that's because it's cheap.
Yeah. I find like the Zhonya's cost increase also like screwed up my snowballing a lot too. Because I usually buy Zhonya's like second item. But I'm not sure if it's like always even worth it. I did used to experiment going like Shadow Flame second, but I'm not sure if it's actually like that good. Especially if like enemy team picks like Hecarim or like fiddlesticks. I usually just stick to buying either like banshees or zonias. So I'm not sure if it's actually worth it. Like waiting so long for the zonias because usually games end by the time I get like my third item. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's both an issue probably with your mid game and how many fights
Okay.
you're participating in.
Please speed himself. Yeah, I do think my mid game is actually
And
pretty good.
also, yeah, I almost never buy Zanyas nowadays. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always buying like Morello or Banshees because it's cheap.
Yeah, makes sense. I actually, yeah, I do notice that like the cost is like way too much to actually be like any use. Like by the time you get it, it's like what 24 to like 30 minutes sometimes, or like 20 minutes ish. So honestly, it's not
Yeah.
like worth it going Zonias.
And
Do you
then
ever
you
still go Zonias into like some comps though, like if they pick random?
yeah. So generally the times I go Zanyas are going to be like when the enemy team have reset champions and you want to deny that. Um like Viego, Pike, I don't know, Darius, Katarina, yeah.
I'm trying to use flash, but I don't rock about anyway, right? There's no point using it.
Denying that timer for them to reset could like make or break the game. But
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes if they don't have that, you can be like
Two autos, and now she's fine. It's fine.
using all your abilities, Zanyazing, and then the only thing you'd be doing would be stalling time for something else to happen from your teammates because you're not even really like
Yeah, there's no
stalling
point
time
in
for
doing
your
that anyway.
cooldowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense. Yeah, I do. Like, I think I play too much for KD still sometimes in some games. That's one of my like I die. I like die like not enough in like some instances because I'm not sure. Like if I'm fed, I'm too like scared to get a like feed a bounty or whatever. Like if I take the kills early game, for example, I usually find myself going Zonias, but not because it's like good in that situation, but like I wanna like not die. And that's also like one of my issues I feel like I have in terms of mid or late game where I'm like too scared to go in because I'm scared of dying for what I don't know. It's just like a mindset thing. I don't know why. I got lucky this game. I think that's also like one of the issues I have because like I'm my friend also I'm like a KDA player, which is like one of my bad habits because I feel like I don't die like where I should sometimes.
Well, with the way that at least I play the champion,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times you're going to be like looking to just run in there, use all your abilities,
Yeah,
win the fight, and either die or like you're not really that useful afterwards. Like all your
yeah,
abilities are on cooldown. The only thing you'll be doing is auto attacking for like 30 damage. Uh, so you're just stalling for time, dodging abilities. Uh, and there are other ways to play this champion, but I think if you do tend to pick it like every game, if you like run into team comps where the enemy is not going to be running into you,
yeah.
then it could be kind of difficult to win. And
It is. Yeah, I noticed that.
yeah, it's like your ideal situation on this champion for enemies to just run into you. They like
Mm-hmm.
run into all your abilities and then they lose. But let's say they're like long ranged or uh
Like
like
jungle
they
or
kill
something.
you instantly or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And you're going to need to adapt if you're going to be playing this champion into like every situation.
yeah. I do find myself like I think one of the games. I'm sure if it's like India. I don't think it is. We played against the Janna top lane with a Nami, and I think that was like the game I actually felt like super useless. I went Everfrost, but I still like, I feel like I did nothing that game. Like they
Um
picked Lucian hyper carry with two enchanters, a Rengar, and I think a Silas. I don't think it's in here. I still have the game now. I can maybe upload it still, but um, yeah, in those games I just felt like super useless. Like I felt like I couldn't really do anything except like land maybe an Everfrost or like a root because it's not like my ult's ever gonna hit unless I flash.
yeah, they're playing like their max range and then they just like one
Yeah,
shot you and then you can't use your
and the slows
abilities.
and yeah, the slows amount too
Yeah,
against
that's
them.
why you in the mid to late game, your goal is generally going to be to secure, like gain and deny vision. And then
Flank.
yeah, look for flanks or look for good angles to get ultis.
honest. I'm too scared to like walk into enemy jungle alone sometimes. Like I do see like 3 to 4 people mid lane, for example. I would not actually like walk up, but I'm like still scared. Like I did notice like one of the games like after I played it, the enemy team bought 4 sweepers for me, so I don't flank, and I like started realizing afterwards why I didn't just walk in the jungle because they couldn't like establish any vision anyway. But like in the middle of the game, I didn't think about it like how they had like no way of even knowing where I am because they had bought like 4 sweepers. That's like one of my issues I actually like have. I'm too scared to like go for plays because I'm too scared of like dying before the play happens, sorta. Like that's I think my main issue in like mid to late game. Because usually the lane like goes fine, but I do notice like mid to late I'm either like super useless or I can like make a play. But I feel like it's not because of the champion. I think it's just my mindset on how I play the champion being bad.
So yeah, your lane phase in these games especially seem to be working out pretty well. I think that there are like some things that you can work on, but
yeah,
overall it wouldn't really affect the like outcome of these games because you're still just winning the lane. Uh until you run into like lanes that you wouldn't win, these things that I'm pointing out that you can work on, they don't matter as much. What's going to matter as much for your like your main form of improvement that you can like see visually in your rank and everything is definitely going to be your mid game, like you say. Uh, I will be making a summary at the end, and I will be like covering what I was talking about in the laning phase. But I do think that there is a focus that you already know.
you fucking ape. You want to give him the kill?
Um, which is going to be the mid to late game.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, it's not bad to take the kills. What I just
Yeah.
saw right there. Uh, I also, like I said before, I tend to go Dark Seal when I go Everfrost, but you don't have to. It's just like, in my personal opinion, um, I am too used to the damage I have from Rocket Belt since it gets more Magic Pen than because Everfrost you have no Magic Pen, and I think the Dark Seal like makes up for my brain thinking that I have more damage than I really do.
Yeah, I think I do that like not enough too. That I think like, I have enough damage. I feel like sometimes I'm just too passive even when I'm ahead. Like in lane it's fine, but sometimes I'm like in mid to late game. I feel like I'm too scared to like fight people. Like if they're not like behind or whatever, which I think is like also like a problem. I have like not knowing my damage. I think that's like one of my main issues because I've only been even playing Nico like for this season I think, and like the season before like a bit. So I don't know like my limits like that much yet on the champion, which is also a problem. Which I don't like. I don't limit test like enough because I'm playing too safe in the mid to late. So it's like hard for me to judge when I could actually like kill people. I think I should maybe like try to work on that too, either like on maybe on like an ult or like try my main as well. Because I'm scared of getting demoted again. It's like my one issue. I'm scared of dying right now. I feel like in some of those games. I think this was like in my master promos or afterwards. I'm not sure anymore.
I mean, this game you definitely should have won, right? I can see that it's a loss, but you look, you're smurfing. There's no way you should not win. So here we should be trying to get vision.
Mm-hmm.
We see there like, are you trying to solo kill this guy? I mean, it's possible. You can definitely do it
Yeah.
if my video would load.
Guys, fucking YouTube, man. I had the same though. It's like I'm not sure what the problem is. Like, I think I'm just gonna. Yeah, she dodges it. She ulted there, right?
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
This is like one of the reasons why I open up with the ulti a lot of times, or I just don't like cast spells, because I mean the spells they just land automatically after they try to dodge everything.
Yeah.
They don't have anything left. They're stunned right here. They're stunned. You just press E and Q right here. She doesn't die, but at least you landed them.
Yeah, I think my issue was I'm not sure if the Kaiser ult range would be longer than my ult range. Started.
If she has E up, then she can ult and then E away. But generally, if she only has her ult, then it'll be quite difficult. You also slow her. So right here, you slow her, and then you could like go with the ulti. One thing that I would do is I would, even though it's warded right here, I would still approach from that side, because where is she gonna go? She either like leaves to the left once she sees you, and then she starts moving closer to you. Actually, if you're like approaching, you keep approaching. I guess like you keep going maybe this way, right?
Yeah.
Then
Would you set the W out on the right way or just walk up on the left?
so what I would do is it depends on how she moves. Okay, let's say you see her moving directly this way.
Yeah.
The moment I think she's going to throw her W out, I'm gonna press W in front of me. So like usually that's going to be like when I get out of vision. So that's gonna be like around here ish because they have a pink ward right here. Um so I'll W like right where I have the marker right now so that it's like able to block um when I'm pathing along this wall. Because I don't want them to proc my relentless mobies. Otherwise I'll like won't get in there. And then if it blocks successfully, that's another way she can apply her passive so that she can't ulti. Either that, I'm sorry, or if she doesn't have W or you just dodge it or like she doesn't use it, then you're running this way, and then I'd use my W in a way that she can't auto me,
Yeah.
and like I'm ulting, she can't auto me, and then the moment that I get near her, or then my ulti is already going down, and right before I like uh jump up from the ulti, I'm unable to do anything. That's when my Everfrost is coming out, or my E. Usually it's gonna be Everfrost because it has a wider range.
Would it be a bad play to just W right side and go left?
Um, Not necessarily, but if we take a look at where the minions are, it totally depends on where the minions are. So like,
Yeah.
let's say you're approaching from here, you can see that the minions are already like near this entrance ish, based on yours. Okay, if the minions were already here and they're about to start hitting you because I mean that's what they do,
Yeah.
then
Fuck them, obviously.
they'll proc the Mobius, right? They'll proc the Mobius relentless. It'll be difficult to get in.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, the guy dies. Not a big deal. It's very like uh
Yeah, I thought he had laser. That's why I walked up and tried to stun her.
no, I'm just trying to think of a word to like say. Like it's like I guess you should be thinking yourself in the mid to late game more of a jungler.
Yeah.
You're thinking yourself more of a laner. Like there are some times where it is better to be more of a laner, but in those times, often it'll be like you're not gonna be looking for these flanks. You know you're not gonna be roaming. So that might be one of those times where you're going to go these like defensive boots and maybe Everfrost and play more like a laner, play more defensively. Because that's if you take a look at other support champions and how they play, generally it'll be like enchanters or even just defensive tanky characters that'll be playing like you are right now. Right there is pretty good, right? Right here. Although I'm not sure if you just prayed they didn't have vision, but I would have like tried to have sweeper and swept that for sure.
Yeah. I do like. I feel like I have the problem like mostly playing Nico. Like if I'm playing like Alistar or like testing Alistar on like an alt account, I don't really like mind like roaming, for example. I'm not sure if that's like how exactly like my mind works in that way. But usually when I play like Alistar, I like buy Moby's level 3 and just roam. But I feel like with Nico, I'm more of a mindset of I got to kill early game in lane, so I just want to like try either to kill the laner over and over, but I'm like not focusing on snowballing the map in that sort of way. Like
Yeah,
one.
I mean it's something that you have to gauge based
Yeah,
on team comp and everything. Like it's not something that you can do just mindlessly every game.
yeah, true.
Uh, but it is a skill that you're gonna have to pick up if you want to keep climbing.
Yeah, I feel like it's like my one issue also like before I roam the like for example if I pick Alistar right, the CC is like reliable.
Oh yeah, he's just point and click. Yeah, you have to hit your shit on Nico
Yeah, I
if
just
you.
sometimes I just do notice that like I feel like I'm just like too scared to try to roam because I'm more of a like a thing of what if I miss the E for example. But like if I try to roam, I usually like find it easier to like get myself to do it if my laner also has like any follow up, for example. That's like my like a CC spell, for example, like a jungler, for example. I think of if I pick Rengar or something, I usually just want to focus on the lane with like one setup move, which I think is like also one of the reasons why I don't usually like roaming in some games. Because like I think what's the meta right now? I think like Sedge is usually like when it's Sedge money or something. I like roaming into a lane. But if it's like an Irelia, I think it was one of my games. Let me check my history real quick. Yeah, like an Irelia or something. I usually am more of a mindset of not liking to roam in that scenario, like a Gwen, for example, too. Because I'm like too scared of like either like not doing anything with like with the roam because there's no CC follow up, for example, and I
Yeah, I
feel
mean
so behind.
it just totally depends on each situation. You have to
Yeah,
look at it at a case by case basis, right? Let's say
yeah, true.
your top laner has no CC, but
Mm-hmm.
they're pushed in. The enemy top laner is half HP. Uh, they don't even like they're your top laner's low. They can't really help you. All you gotta do is hit your Q, auto ignite, and then they die.
Yeah,
Uh, that's like a situation where maybe it might be a good idea to roam. But you also have to look at like mid lane, where their jungler is, like what the wave state your bot lane looks like. So it's not something that's I can just say you can
yeah,
do.
exactly.
But developing that skill and like understanding when it's good is something that you definitely need to be able to
Yeah,
do.
I'm also. I feel like I'm thinking about it, but like in game, it's all like it doesn't like disappear, but I'm like like it's hard to explain. I think it's just a mindset
Is
problem.
it something that like you think that you would be able to do on maybe an alt account? And
Probably, yeah. I think my issue is still like I'm playing. This is like my first time being like D1 Masters. I think that's like my problem of like respecting my opponents too much
right,
and thinking like they would either like see me coming here or like know how to dodge the spell. Right? I think that's like
right.
my main issue.
So maybe if you have the time or whatever, then it could be good for you to like test out these certain like ideas and situations and see if they work out on an alt.
Yeah.
My personal when I climbed the first time, um, I had two main accounts actually,
Yeah.
and I didn't really care like which account was higher or whatever, but I tried on both accounts to win as much as I could,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that helped me a lot because um like I could dodge more and also I cared a lot less about what happened
Mm-hmm.
on either account because I had like a backup in the same elo. Like,
Yeah.
let's
That's
say,
fun.
let's say shit happened. I'm like, okay, happens. I learned, but it's not like I lost all my LP because I have another account in that same elo.
I think
That's just my mindset.
yeah.
It could work for you. I do recommend it, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah, my problem is I don't really play ranked that much every season. Like I usually
Yeah, I
just play.
know. That's why I said it might not work for you.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
I mean, I can do it. I've like six or like seven accounts still I can like play on. I think my main account for about time. So the main's like platinum or something. It's like a phone account. I usually play on with friends. But like this was like one of the accounts I like duo queue with like another friend because he said I should probably like try getting high elo once instead of just like playing normals every day. So this is like my first like actual attempt at like climbing since like season 6, I think, when I was like D1 ish. But I used to main jungle, so I stopped playing afterwards because I was like, uh, I gave my friend my account and he just deranked it to like D5 overnight. Because my friend said, "Yeah, can you give him your account? It's fine. You can just play on it for a day." I was like, "Okay, whatever." I trust my real life friend, and yeah, it was like doomed after, so I didn't play on it anymore. And that was like the time I stopped playing ranked for like 5 years. And this is like my first season actually like playing somewhat competitive again, like in actually ranked. Please finish the fucking Baron. But yeah, I think that's like my main issue, like either respecting people too much, because I feel like it's not like elo where I'm like should be stuck in kinda, because I feel like there's people like so many mistakes, but I do as well. But like it's hard to explain. Like I feel like it's easier to play ranked in this than my normal games because my main account is like challenger or whatever in normal queue, and those games are usually harder than these games I play.
Actually, there are quite a few people I've acquainted with that do that same thing in NA. So you're not alone.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird because it's just like I feel like the match quality, especially like D1 Masters, is just so bad. Like
Yeah, I mean,
uh, like this game
that's
was
how
like
it's gonna be.
it's just like feels really shit because I have some games when I snowball and someone gets like I think the main point of this game was I think Victor got caught like later on and then Syndra started like snowballing super hard as well, and then we lost off that one. I think it was like bot in it later on in the game. But I feel like I'm not playing that much well either. I feel like with my lead I should just either like try to get an ult off or like one shot someone, which I'm not really doing.
Well, with the build
But
that
what?
you've gone, it's a little bit more difficult. You have less damage. It's as you can tell when you tried to 1v1 the Kaisa, like
Yeah,
even if you landed everything in the one rotation, she wouldn't have died.
yeah.
With Rocket Belt, with Electrocute, with Ignite, she's dead for sure.
I think it's more of a me early game. Yeah, I think I got knocked out here from the Syndra. I wanted to like try to peel off the Scanner because it's more like the win count for them is like getting the Kai'Sa, right? The Kai'Sa or the Victor, which I'm not sure like in early game if I'm gonna snowball or not. That's why I went Everfrost. Because the game before, I think a few games ago, the Riven just 1v9 because I went Rocket Belt and my AD carry just got one shot. Because I was the only one trying to peel, which is like kind of not really possible playing much Nico, I feel like, in those games.
Yeah, I mean your peel is usually going to be for them to die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for example, if I have like a Fed MF in the other game I played, and they had like a Fed Ribbon, that's why I decided to go Everfrost and more of a defensive-ish game this build.
Yeah.
Been the boxes.
No, I mean it's okay. You performed really well. I think your mid game was honestly not that bad in this game in particular. You maybe could have gotten a bit farther ahead, but this is pretty good. This is like still in a carry position. I think this is where it all went wrong, right here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Uh,
It's hard for
so
me to get.
where did you lose your banshees?
Was it a Luden's block maybe?
You lost your banshees right here to Ludens, right? So that's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, it was Luden's.
Okay, had you if you had your banshees right here,
Yeah.
that would have helped. Um,
Also, I took the dragon because I didn't champ only, which would have also proc the banshees.
yeah, that would have also proc the banshees. Something else is if you're going to flash in right here, which there definitely is an angle. There are ways you can position yourself where them pushing you back doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That and I would just start like I don't know where do you don't you okay you haven't even used your Everfrost, but honestly I probably wouldn't use it at the opening. Right here, let's say they're all in a pretty good position for you to get like a lineup right here.
Mm-hmm.
You E flash and like you E I don't know in this line I guess you can see my cursor hopefully
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and then you flash over this wall. Your E flash almost definitely will land. Um, let's say Syndra pushes you back towards this wall. It's not that far. You're still gonna ulti Riven for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you E flash, your R is already running like it is now,
Yeah.
and then you Zanya's immediately, then she can't push you back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So you would be able to get the root on three people, ult on three people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure if that would change the outcome of this fight.
Pretty
It
sure it would have actually.
probably would have.
Yeah, I think the prior target was like the Syndra, and she pushed me away because I think Syndra was the only real threat in this game.
Yeah, I think she probably would have died if you
Yeah.
were able to get your abilities off on her, and that probably would have changed the game right there. I don't do you have like soul if you get that dragon? Can I
Actually, question. I'm not sure. I think I pressed tab a lot, so it should come up.
right here? You do if you get that dragon. So you not only do you get soul, but let's see. You might even just end the game if you win that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm too used to ulting and then ever frosting. I should probably like get out of the habit as well.
One thing that I actually tend not to like to Zanya's before I jump, and that can fuck me too. So you're not alone, but it is something that is like champion specific to us that we should know how to do, when to do, and just
Yeah.
like do it, right? It,
Yeah.
since we're trying to be, pretty good at this champ, hopefully that's like something that we know how to do.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's my one issue. Like, I'm too used to muscle memory of ulting and then pressing D, which is my Everfrost or Rocket Bell button.
yeah.
I think the way I usually did it was ulti and then Everfrost, which is probably bad.
I mean, there you just like E flash, your ulti goes off if you Zanya's, and then
Yeah.
after they're stunned from your ulti and you come out of Zanya's, then you Everfrost and Q, and then like you use all your abilities, you're useless, but then they're all dead.
Yeah. Pretty much makes sense. This was like a. Oh yeah, this was my master promo game. Yeah, I think I played somewhat worse in my promos because I'm like too nervous, but I think it still worked somewhat. This was like my first time going masters, I think, because I was like on my fifth promo, I think, and I was like, I think friends were on the call too. Just like super nervous.
Get that? You took bone plating this game?
I think so.
Yeah, I meant I see you took bone plating this game.
Yeah, I did.
Well, what was your reasoning?
Usually when I get trapped by the Caitlyn, I thought about like, either if I get trapped, I die. Like if I take second wind here, I would probably die regardless. To like a chain CC combo, which is why I took the bone plating here.
Yeah. So, what does the bone plating stop from happening?
The burst damage, right?
Uh,
Or like the. I feel like
depends.
it would also be bad into Morgana because she could just W it, no?
So, yeah, I mean, she could W the bone plating, and that would be pretty unfortunate, which probably happens this game. But I think the main key is even if you don't get W'd, bone plating only works against the target that you first got hit by. So, let's say you get binded by Morgana,
Mm-hmm.
then the bone plating damage reduction only works against Morgana.
Oh, I didn't
So,
know that.
yeah, so uh if you're trying to use it to like block Caitlyn's damage after you get binded, it just doesn't work like that. I mean, I'm just trying to let you know. So if that's what you were taking it for, then
Yeah. Okay,
it,
actually, no,
it doesn't
that's
work.
fine. Would you just go domination second then in this case?
Let's see. Well, you have domination primary. You have
Yeah, I mean,
electrocute.
I'll probably just go resolve second anyway, right? I feel like. I mean, I
Uh,
don't really want time warp anymore. Like,
yeah, I would go second win probably.
unflinching maybe.
I don't really see a time where unflinching ever does anything. I'll be honest. Like,
Yeah, true.
it's a 5% at max HP. Are you ever going to get binded? Like, I guess you get binded here.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
get binded here, which is half HP, which would give you like 20% tenacity. Uh,
Actually, I binded the Morgana here would have been good.
yeah, you could have killed Morgana here, but also
Yeah.
I I don't think you actually died to this trap. I don't think it activates. I think you walk into it. I'm not sure though. It's really close. Like if you had unflinching here, you definitely like get it are able to walk out, but it's actually close enough here where I'm not sure. You could maybe just walk left and not get hit
Yeah.
by it. But again, it's really close. It's kind of hard to tell for me.
Mm-hmm. Man, YouTube is just so bad.
I don't know. Does it work perfectly fine for you?
No, it's the same issue for me when I tried rebooting
Okay.
YouTube.
That's so weird.
Not sure if it's like the length of the video or like the bit rate. I have no idea.
Your jungler is really in your lane this game.
I actually like it because I usually prefer like getting camped because I feel like we have really good kill pressure in bot lane.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. I'm just like noticing it because that doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah. Actually, like I think I told him like in China like after the thing. I usually like when people like play around my lane because I feel like it's super easy ganks anyway. But no one really like. I feel like the issue is no one really knows what the champ does, so they don't know how like lane how easy we like to gank bot lane. Because I feel like most people just ignore my lane because I'm playing this champion. They have no idea how it works.
Yeah,
I'm
that is
using
true.
because like, I want to give him the kill. Actually, what I'm really wondering, would you ever go Glacial Augment into Kalista? Or is it just kind of meh?
Nah. I don't ever go glacial augment on the champ. Glacial augment is all right.
Because I usually like take it if it's like a really kill lane, like fresh Kalista or whatever. I don't really mind using it that much, but I play more of like a peeling role than instead of like a go in sort of thing. But it was like a while ago. I haven't done it in a while. Usually I just go like electrocute against fresh. I think Kalista usually like going like fleet. I'm not sure though. I think it was fleet.
I mean, the secondary runes in inspiration are
Yeah,
kind of not so great at the moment.
yeah. They're all kind of shit. Yeah, true.
That's one reason why I wouldn't go it. The other is I don't think the keystone makes up for the lack of runes you get in the secondary runes.
Yeah, what I used to do was like a few months ago. I think it was. I just like would go like Emax with Caitlyn. Like Caitlyn, like my friend played Caitlyn into Kalista lane, and I would just go Emax Everfrost with. Did I go? No, I go into Rocket Belt and go Glacial Augment, and that worked out okay-ish. But I don't really like doing it without like any like setup AD carry, I guess. Like if it's Caitlyn, I like going it into Kalista. Otherwise, I'd probably just go like what's it called, electrocute. But I feel like it makes the champ like really useless later on, and even in lane, because she can't like trade with you, like back with you, because of the slow, which is why I
Oh,
usually just go.
Callista? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
see
it
that.
seemed like super one-sided. That's why I liked it, because she can't hop or auto attack during that
Well,
time.
you already actually have a lot of tools in your kit to stop her from really playing the game.
Exactly.
Um, if you start implementing what I'm talking about, like in the learning phase when you're like weaving in and out of the brush to
Mm-hmm.
stop aggro, that also works against Callista auto attacks because they don't occur, they don't hit you if you go out of vision. Um,
Wait, didn't they used to not cancel, or was that something else? Or did
they
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 both?
cancel, they cancel all the time when you go out of vision.
Oh, I actually thought they wouldn't cancel, because I think a while ago
It's
they used to cancel.
specifically Callista.
Alright, okay.
Other champions auto attacks if they start, then they won't cancel if you go out of
Oh,
vision.
I thought it's the opposite way.
No, no,
I
no.
thought her wouldn't be able to be okay, that makes sense then.
Um, I think it's even in the tool tip. Nice, by the way.
Yeah, was this one of the games that really popped off? It was a good game.
Yeah, this is a game, however, that like it's mainly you following up, and that's okay. But I think there will be a lot of times where you don't have these teammates that work as well with you,
Yeah,
and
that's
you're
true.
going to be like more on your own to carry the game, and you're gonna need to
Yeah,
play a little bit differently to win.
yeah,
This is a good way to play when you do have teammates that mesh well with how you play, but that's not always going to be the case.
yeah, exactly. Like in games where I don't have any follow up or like hard like first engage, and we start losing lane, I usually feel like super fucking useless in those games. Like, let me check. I think it was what game was it? This one? No, it's here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. What game was it? Yeah, for example, if they have like we had like a Echo without Flash, Gangplank, and no. And those games where Nuno wouldn't land Snowball, I just felt like actually useless because we got like super hard camp bot lane against Lucian Nami. They had the Janna game. In those games, it's just like super hard for me to do anything because I feel like my champ's just kind of useless in those kind of scenarios. Emulates how I would play it. I can just let me see. Uh, do I have to? I don't think I have to replay on it anymore. Sadly.
So there are a couple things I noticed in this laning phase is you're not really helping push the wave to get level 2 first.
Okay.
That's oftentimes what you're going to be wanting to do unless you know that their jungler is going to come kill you. In this game, you can see your Sejuani invades their top side, which is
Yeah.
honestly fine that you don't push the wave because you know that their jungler is bot side,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's fine. However, another thing is I think that you're just either letting them take control like you kind of did right there, or no one's taking control of the brushes. I think that's kind
Yeah.
of weird. If you are able to take control of the brush starting from minute one, you wouldn't have even taken those two Ezreal Qs. Or you probably wouldn't. Um, you see how he's like toward Ezreal's towards the brush right here?
Yep.
What you do is you just walk in on this corner,
Mm-hmm.
and then we walk out on the other side, and then you wait because he's gonna throw his Q in this
Yeah.
bush,
Good.
knowing that you're in there or thinking that you're in there when you're not. Okay, once he throws the Q in and he misses, that's your time to go in, come to this edge, and then hit him.
Mm-hmm.
Exit, hit him, go back in. His Q's gonna be just about to come up. Now is the time to uh, look for another way to dodge his Q. At the same time, your next objective is to stack up your auto on the minions. Slow push.
Mm-hmm.
and get the lane into a situation where even if you do get ganked, you
Yeah.
can 2v3. So here you kind of take that auto
Mm-hmm.
Q. I mean, it's fine. You don't get ganked. Just Sonic kills him, I guess.
Yeah, they came back to the thing, I think. Yeah. I think my mindset was in this when they took the ward in that scenario that I would play around the mini wave because I think Fresh started Q, but I'm not sure if I hovered them or not. So I was like scared of walking in the bush because I feel like they can just burst me too, which is probably like the main issue. I like the main mistake I made this game.
Well, how would they be able to burst you level 1? That's like
Yeah,
the
that's true actually. Yeah. It's just like I think I'm just too careful in this scenario, especially.
yeah. If they're able to burst you level 1, then sure, like you can be playing safe. But I don't think that they had that option.
Yeah, yeah. It's like one of my issues of not knowing like damage output yet, like in bot lane too.
If you're playing against like Pike,
Yeah.
and that's definitely an issue, getting bursted level 1. But that's why I take bone plating and um, sometimes even relic shield against Pike. Depends on
Yeah,
who's playing it, honestly.
yeah. I like playing Relic Shield 2 into Pike.
But even then, I'll try to take control of the brushes because it's so important. Because if I don't take control of the brush, then he has it. And what that means is he has an opportunity now to come from the brush and like E towards us at any time and flash like behind us. Or like
Yeah.
do anything that he wants to do because he has the brush control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And usually that's not good.
Yeah. Those, I think like the lane is just so like what's it called, like brush control in general. Like whoever gets it just like gets to dictate lane pace.
That's exactly how it goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Also depends on the champions that are being played. If you're playing against like Yumi or if you're playing like double enchanter, it doesn't matter as much. But that doesn't really happen, especially in the games we're playing in.
Yeah. I feel like I'm mostly like too careful in those kind of lanes. Like if I'm against Fresh or Leona, I'm actually like I usually like going like in usually like at all. But I think this game I was just like a bit too scared. Because usually against Fresh, I play like super aggro and like just block the hook with the W. Because the timer is usually like enough where you can just like walk in his face or like almost in his face.
Yeah.
I think I'm scared this game because I think this is my demotion game, and I just play like absolute like shit. I think that was the game I got demoted on. Because I'm like my nerves were like I have to win. Like I was like one win off season decay end. Will be safe, and I think this game was the one I just lost and got demoted. That would have been safe if I just won it, which is why I played too safe as well. I think it was one of those. Because I did notice once I got masters and the game started becoming like towards the 0 LP mark where with decay I just played really bad because I'm too scared of like demoting from a loss.
I get
Which
that.
is probably yeah.
I do notice that you tend to try to get rocket belt first,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. But what that usually means is you're not going to be roaming. You don't have Moby boots early. You don't have tier 2 boots in general early. You don't need Moby boots to roam. It's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
tier 2 boots are the bare minimum.
I
But
think the one issue I also have like if I'm playing against Bard, I usually don't find myself roaming at all before boots or like or like following roams. Usually depending on like they have the game status. Like if they're like near our tower and Bart starts roaming, I'm not gonna just like follow up and lose like the entire creep rate, right? And people still like start pinging me because I think it's a net loss in general because Bart just gets meeps and XP, right? Which is
well,
one of the issues for people. people like
XP
Sage and
honestly isn't going to be your worry. And as support, XP is like
I think after 3 it's fine.
probably yeah, I mean I think when Bard starts roaming it's usually gonna be after 3 too, but uh when you're playing support, oftentimes you are going to be under leveled, and that's good. You want your AD carry to almost, if not catch up to your solo laners in a lot of your games that you're trying to carry. Um, because what's going to happen is you get 3 solo laners in terms of XP, and then if you participate in enough kills, you will also be over leveled. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's say in this game, you would be level 8. Your mid laner, your AD carry, top laner, and jungler are all level 11. You participate in a kill, and because you're under level compared to the enemy you just killed, you'll just gain a whole level after killing them. That's how the
Okay.
catch up XP works.
Yeah.
Um, and it helps that your allies are higher level so that you can get this KP.
Yeah. Tried predicting the flash lantern, but he didn't take it here. Actually, I don't think the flash was good there anyway, because I didn't even have vision on anyone. Like,
Right here.
yeah, I know flash was there, so I thought he would take the lantern, and I would hit both. But I'm not sure it was even a good play in the first place, because there was no vision. Because I'm out of wards here. Because I thought he would take the lantern, that's why I flashed over. But no one's here anyway, so it would have been a bad fight in general, no? Like, there's no follow up outside of what Sejuani.
I mean, if you're trying to kill all 3, it's
Mm-hmm.
not a good flash.
Yeah.
Uh, if you're just trying to kill that guy after what just happened, you could still flash, kill that guy, and walk away. Um,
Like I just thought, like I see flash lantern, so I thought the only one that would be here, because I don't think I see anyone on the map here.
I think here you're a little impatient with your E. You can see that Sejuani has her passive fully stacked. You can just cast EQ, auto ignite, whatever, after he's stunned, and there's nothing he can do. And I'm pretty sure he's dead. Like, he has, like, I don't know, however this much HP is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have killed
One
me.
more tick of Q, your E. I'm pretty sure that kills. And if it doesn't, you probably just walk up and rocket belt and walk away. You don't need to like flash or ulti. And then if they
Yeah.
continue to chase, you still have flash and ulti, and maybe you
Yeah.
turn and get those kills too.
And the problem is I also have no flash now for the next team fight, which is also shit.
Yeah. This is just really awkward. You guys are trying to enter, you have no vision.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are trying to fight this at like an incredible disadvantage. Your mid lane's getting pushed by Rift Herald. You're down a member. It is just like anything that can go wrong is going wrong right here.
Yeah. That was like the tilt started going on. Yeah, I think it's one of those games I usually play like near the end, when I would play like 6 or 7 games. I think it was one of those when I was like almost demoting, and it was like my 5th loss, I think, or 4th loss. And I probably it's just an issue of tilt queuing. Like I'm just like super impatient, trying to make plays.
So I'm not sure since I never watched you play when you played jungle or Rengar or whatever,
Yeah.
but um I want you to try to think of your mid to late game more like that, but with warding. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't like I'd have to look at your games again once you start to actually see like what you're doing after we discuss and everything.
Yeah.
But you tend to be playing your mid to late game like kind of like you're an enchanter ish.
Yeah.
Like you are standing like in the middle of the lane, or like you kind of don't really look for these opportunities to get a flank or even just kill people or just
Yeah.
like
I might have. I still have a video on my YouTube. It was a bit old though. I think I still have one of me jungling. It's a bit old though. See if I can find it.
it's definitely the main reason why you feel like you aren't converting your lead into anything is because you're playing more of a follow-up supportive role when
Yeah.
you could be playing something that just does things on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And one one thing that you can do since you really like going alternator first is if you get it early enough and you understand jungle pathing, like where the enemy jungler is, wants to be, etc., you can just walk into their jungle and kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point. I still have a jungle video of me, but it's a bit old. I don't know if that matters. It's from season 8, 7. I think it's generally the same thing. If that's what you like would want to see.
Are you like do you mean like you're kind of scared to invade and like look
Yeah.
for place?
Yeah.
I see.
I can show you this
It,
one.
that just might be something you need to work on rather than like a mindset,
Yeah.
I guess. Just you need to be able to, I guess, uh, be more aggressive when you have the lead instead of kind of like playing a playing like a supportive role. You gotta like start up and do things on your own. Um, that is definitely like the main advice I can give you for now, because until you start trying, then I can't really like start nitpicking at what you really need to be working on. Because
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really know where you're at in terms of if you were to go look for the invade. Like I can't advise you whether or not it's a good time because
Yeah.
it's like I don't see it. I don't see you doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I feel like I'm also having the issue of not playing with my jungler like enough. Or like the one thing my friend also mentioned was me not start like walking to lane through mid lane sometimes. Or like
Yeah,
just start.
generally it depends. A lot of times people will say after you recall on support just walk mid. It's not that simple, but a lot of times it can be. It's like I guess I don't know, I'd say 70 to 80% of the time that is the correct move. But there will be times where you want to walk bot lane first actually.
Yeah.
And your AD carry will scream and yell because you didn't walk bot lane and they can't play the game, you know?
Yeah, usually I would do it if my like recall would be like almost in sync, but Daddy carries a bit behind, or like recalls a bit after me. I would have enough time to go mid for like a second, then just go bot lane by the time they get to the tower.
Yeah, that's one thing you can do for sure. Again, like as you can see here, you can't just like walk up to them, cast your spells, and they'll hit.
Yeah.
Either they run into you and you cast your spells and they'll hit, or you look for like a flank, or you have to like flash ult proto belt or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really difficult to just max range hit something. In fact, I'd say
Yeah.
it's kind of just not what your champion does.
Yeah, I feel like it's just actually useless in those scenarios. Like it's the same thing also in the Nami game where I would like either like not just like try to do the same thing here, like try to cast max range spells wouldn't even do anything, and like my issue why I thought I was like super like useless because I didn't look for like opportunities to even like try to flank. Because my issue was with enemy Rengar in the team, if I could like face check safely, but I guess that's I don't use the W for that, like the correct way to face check pushes.
Yeah, I mean it's also partially you have to assume where he is at certain
Yeah.
points in the game, and if you have a good idea, then you know he's not where you're gonna go like walk into, then it might just be what you have to do to like try to get that push that lead.
Yeah. I think it's also like a build up of me not like building like a vision on enemy jungle sometimes, so I don't know where they would be.
Right.
So I'm like sometimes too scared of like either walking into the jungle at all.
I want to talk about this here again a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so again, you're like opening with E. I'd say a lot of times it's not bad, but also a lot of times you can just press R and wait. So right here, this Rek'Sai can't see you this entire time. You're moving still or something, and then he could see you with Sweeper like right here.
Yeah.
But if you started your ult, say, I don't know, like right here, or maybe even like right here, even closer, right here ish, and then he gets this close, you just walk towards him, like until the bar just barely fills up, and you like have to jump up, and you're unable to do anything. You rocket belt on top of him, and then even if he ease away, like he does here, he'll be stunned while he's like over here. Then you can follow up with an E, and then he's stuck, and then maybe you get the pick for the Baron. Now it's you just lost.
Yeah, I think it was just bad at the end. I think I was also just tilted from a play earlier, or like the game in general before. Just
Yeah, I mean that'll happen, but even when you're tilted, I think muscle
yeah,
memory will help you like dictate the way you play your mechanics and how the
yeah, sure.
like
Like
it
not
goes.
having like the tilt on it, I think I just like generally like try to like let me see. I'm just gonna write this down actually. I think
Actually,
that's also my issue of trying E before ulting sometimes because I'm too scared of missing the ult, so I'm like trying to hit the E before.
yeah. Well, you do. I'm sure you know that you as you're disguised, it hides the ulti like animation,
Yeah,
right?
when I'm disguised, yeah. Until I'm like
So
in the
exactly, and oftentimes that's enough time for them to not be able to get out. And even if they do react, if you just like slip your E in right before you like are unable to move, then they they like to like get as much distance as they can before they're forced to flash out. That's just a habit that most people will have. They like to
yeah.
try to save their flash as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you kind of hide that E with the animation of your ulti and everything, they might not see it. They get rooted for like the time that they wanted to flash. They won't be able to flash, and then they'll die. So that's there are like a couple ways you can start up with ulti.
Mm-hmm.
One of which is you just straight up press the ulti, you're disguised, you let it land, and then you use your abilities afterwards. Another is you press the ulti, you try to press E beforehand, and then it hits them, and it's like uh, it like roots them so that they can't get out of your ult.
Yeah.
So those are like the two main ways I kind of open up with the ulti, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think this is the game I meant with the bot roaming. I think so at least, because I think it's after like it's stuck again. But then I think Bart starts roaming like here-ish, like a bit earlier, a bit later. Actually, I think he goes top here with Scanner. I think if I remember correctly, and I think I got flamed after the second time. But I think I should have actually helped her too.
Well, here you guys have two waves, three waves in.
Yeah.
If you're not going to roam, which you do here actually,
Yeah.
But if you're not going to roam, you guys should be pressuring the tower plays.
Yeah.
Because you've seen that Bard's been gone for a while, I'm pretty sure at least. You know that he's gone. It might be helpful for you to spam ping as well. Like,
Yeah.
spam ping a couple missing pings. Or like, what I like to do is I like to try to give as much information as possible without being the most annoying person on the planet. So, I like ping the person I uh am targeting. So like, let's say Bard's missing. I'll ping Bard a couple times. I'll ping missing from bot lane a couple times. And then I'll ping the red danger ping on where I think he's gonna be going.
Yeah. I think I just type bar me and just spam missing ping for a bit. I goes top here. Pretty sure. I think Ziggs chased me here for a bit. Yeah.
I mean, in all these videos that you showed me, your laning phase is fine. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think the issue was usually like when this happens, like if I get blamed for this, I'm not sure if it's like even my fault that bot would roam here if I'm killing bot lane, for example. I'm trying to come here and she I think we both die here.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, your main ideas for when shit like this happens is going to be you either match or you punish, right? And there are a couple ways you punish. You either roam to somewhere else on the map, or you kill your bot laner over and over again. Uh, and again, it's like um,
Dependent.
matchup dependent, like map state. There's like waves where the enemy jungler is. Like that's all dependent on, or it all changes on what you can and cannot do in these games.
Yeah.
So like even if you match right here, right, like you're trying to do, you just get fucked. So what happens if instead you just walk behind Ziggs, like through try, you make sure that's even if it's warded, top sweeper first. There are a lot of times where people will have something warded, and if you sweep and you don't hit it, they won't even notice that your thing was that you disabled their ward while you walk past. You go just go undetected the entire time, and then you kill them.
I think I was just like I think I just tried to like follow the roams because already I mentioned something earlier and I just got baited.
Yeah, you all peer pressured.
And killed the boy like the Ziggs over and over because it's the free kills.
Yeah, not only that, but if you killed Ziggs like twice within I don't know this 5 minute time period, this tower would probably be gone. Let's say you had that like 2 or 3 waves in with Kaisa. Uh, the goal right there kills Ziggs. He loses 2 or 3 waves. Even if you guys die, it's really good.
Yeah.
Then if you guys don't die, you take one, probably 2 tower platings if he didn't kill enough minions, and then you reset. You have a huge lead right now. And then
Yeah.
the next time if Bard roams again, you have such a huge lead that is probably impossible for you guys to mess up the next dive. You dive him again, okay, you take the entire tower, and now you're in a pretty good position to match Bard, who has gotten his top and mid jungle ahead, whereas you got yourself your AD carry ahead, and you're going to try to like fight as your AD carry and yourself, who's super far ahead, versus these kind of like a little bit far ahead mid top jungle. Bard like helped, and in like this first 12 minutes ish, where you participated in this top fight once and then the mid fight again, like that those fights probably would never have happened, and even if your laners died, at least you didn't die too, and you got the lead bot lane. Now it's a lot harder than it could have been.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Like the pressure in general just kind of fucked. Like,
yeah, I mean you got to remember that you there are times when it's good to match.
Yeah.
but there are also times when you can't, and
Mhm.
it's your job, not your teammates' job to tell you, because sometimes they're wrong. It's your job to figure it out.
Yeah.
I could try to like give you a guideline, but honestly, the situations that occur are like very, they're so variable, I guess, in my
Yeah.
opinion, that it's hard to just like list everything and what you should be doing in response.
Yeah. I think it also comes with like games played. I think it's just my issue of having not enough games on support in general.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Like if I was playing jungle, I would either like try to make a roam work early game. I'm not sure if it's worth it because Aurelia, like Darius saying, is kind of. I feel like Aurelia is just kind of. If she fucks up once, she's just dead. Doesn't matter if she's like 10-0 or like 5-0.
Yeah, in that lane, she just gets pulled and dies.
Yeah. So I think I just got baited by it. I should have definitely just stayed bot this game and tried to like snowball with tower plates. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of all we're looking at right here in this game, I'm pretty sure. You guys are still decently ahead, but
Yeah. I feel like there's nothing we can do later on because who's gonna peel the Kaiser? Like Vigo is really far behind. He's like 2-7 or something.
yeah, you're not far enough ahead with your AD carry to match
Yeah.
all these gamers, right?
Yeah.
If you were guys were maybe farther ahead, I don't know, could have worked out. Like a whole 1K, 2K more gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like looking past this point, I think is kind of doesn't really
Yeah.
do
It's
much.
pointless, but yeah. I think it's just like tilt play starting happening after, and we just lose.
Okay, so I'm gonna